is A Wee Natter. I'm Marc Steele, and across the table from me should be Jenny Steele, but unfortunately, she's off having a final meal with someone. I do admit that playing this music makes it sound like that this person isn't going to be with us anymore. In actuality, it's just the last meal before they leave the place that she works. Although it does sound more threatening thinking it's like a mafia meal or something like that. But I am joining you on the equinox, equal day and night. So I went up the nearest hill to celebrate and sing, ready to do hey nonny nonny and all that sort of stuff. And of course, because of a wee dance for the sun gods, it didn't quite play out, did it? No. Absolutely soaking out there. Oh, I was looking forward to it. And talking about things that you're looking forward to, we'll talk about the ones that you've been in touch about. After this one from Cheryl asking for ELO and something with a little bit of oomph. Well, shine a little love. That's got a bit of oomph, hasn't it? On A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fashion Town Radio 2. Nowadays, solar-powered, it is Lecky Light Orchestra and Shine a Little Love. So we now from Bo Radio, Fashion Town Radio 2. I'm Marc, by the way. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening. And I'm always glad for hearing from you as well, including if you're watching the radio, which always sounds a bit bonkers when I say it, but genuinely, you can watch the radio on Mixcloud and Twitch TV. We're three of you chatting already. Yes, we do live interactive chat there, including Sandra Owens saying good evening, Pond Life saying good evening, everyone, Vicky Fairweather saying good evening, Hank saying good evening to both me and my pussycat. So my pussycat, because this is a home studio, has joined me. She's disappeared now, but she joined me for a few minutes and decided the best place to sit and join in the fun would be right on my lap, where I need to press buttons and be able to chat with you and things like that. It was getting a bit awkward. She's obviously discovered that there's some wee critters over there or something like that to run off and have fun with. So a few people pointing out that you could see her on the internet as well. And another one is if you want to go and look on the internet, you want to go and watch this radio show, I'm wearing a t-shirt that could only be described as patriotic and very British. Would be the way to put it, because it has a massive Union Jack on it. And I love to say it's because I'm a very patriotic person, but not quite. I am a bit patriotic, don't get me wrong, I'm a bit patriotic, but the main reason I have this t-shirt is because I just needed a big pile of t-shirts from Primark, and that was in the pile of them. Nothing wrong with it. It was just in the pile. I didn't actively choose it. It was, how do we say it? A bit of coincidence, I think we were looking for there. And I did promise we would talk about the things that you were looking forward to, because that was a question I was asking you last week, and Sam has been in touch with Christmas. It's maybe a bit early, Sam. But I might be looking forward to it a little bit as well. I'm just putting it out there. Also saying I love to see a festive atmosphere and nice window displays too. Before then, it's got to be the new Joker film. I didn't even know there was going to be a new Joker film. Yeah, and he's looking forward to seeing it with a friend as well. You know what? I'm so disconnected from Batman that the last Batman that I remember is the one from the 90s with a Seal song in it. I'm sure they've done a few more since then. And on a slightly different note, we will deal with the daft games we have to play in life. After this one from Foster the People is Pumped Up Kicks on A Wee Natter. Glad you joined me this fine Sunday evening. So long as you don't listen too closely to the lyrics, it's a cracking wee song. Foster People, Pumped Up Kicks, it's A Wee Natter. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening. I'm Marc, by the way, and a wee moment ago we were touching on the things you were looking forward to, and a few of you have been in touch with things that I'll honestly admit I forgot a bit about, including Pond Life 21 saying, looking forward to seeing That'll Be the Day Christmas show. Oh, that should be a good one. And Sandra Owen saying, I'm looking forward to the new Shaun the Sheep film. I knew there was a new Wallace and Gromit one coming out. I didn't know there was a new Shaun the Sheep one as well. Christmas is going to be sorted, isn't it? It's going to be a cracking Christmas this year, isn't it? And moving on slightly from the C word, because maybe a little bit premature on that one. I got caught in the rain this afternoon. I was supposed to have gone to an estate barbecue yesterday, and I'm walking in the rain, and I catch one of my neighbours going the other direction. He stops me to say hello, and he mentions to me, oh, you didn't turn up to this thing yesterday. And I should say, when I'm talking about an estate barbecue, I'm talking about housing estate. I'm not on a big country estate. I'm not that well off. But anyway, he was asking why I didn't attend. And At that moment, I had to make an excuse up. And I said, oh no, something came up with work. Oh no, I wasn't available. Sorry about that. I so wanted to turn around and say, you know what? I just didn't want to go. Honestly, I did not want to go and sit there with my neighbours, whinging on and rabbiting about the same old problems over and over and over. I've heard it all before. Don't want to hear it again. That's what was going in my head. But you can't say that out loud, can you? You can't just say, no, I'm not going to that because it's rubbish. You've got to be polite. And you've got to always suggest that something else precludes you from turning up to something you don't want to go. We can't just turn around and say, no, mate, not interested at all. So it got me thinking about all those social rules and norms that we're supposed to hold that, when you step back, they're a bit daft, aren't they? I mean, there's a whole thing about vaping, right? Where people seem to think it makes them look a bit cool, a bit like smoking used to a very long time ago. And it isn't so much nowadays because it's mostly done in a shelter at the opposite end of the car park nowadays. But vaping, you can still get away with it. You can still look slightly cool. The problem is when I see people puffing huge amount of smoke out of their mouth and things like that, I don't think cool. I think this. Yeah, a knockoff edition of Thomas the Tank Engine, because they're not even good enough for the full bore edition. But seriously, it's something about vaping and that, you know, that puff of smoke that comes out when they're doing it in your face as well. It just, genuinely, every time I think it, I don't think cool. I think Thomas the Tank Engine. So I'm going to open this on up to you, dear listener. You know those annoying social norms and rules that we have to follow? And when you sit down there and you go, yeah, they're daft. They're daft. Why do I have to make an excuse for not going to a barbecue I'm not interested in? Why do I have to pretend vaping's cool? I want to hear your suggestions about these social rules that, quite frankly, we should do away with them. Get rid of them. They're completely and utter nonsense. Do give me a call. It's 0115. That's Nottingham. 888 3268. You can also email weenatter@bowradio.co.uk or join me on the live chat. While you vent about these things, I'll pop this one on for you. It's Evelyn King, Love Counts Down, on Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. Celine Dion asking you to think twice, and before that, as Monica Erickson puts it, I completely forgot about Love Come Down for a while. Amazing 80s tune. And we're playing for you right here on A Wee Natter from Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening. We're asking you about the rules in society that we need to change. And Pond Life 21's be in touch saying most people don't seem to bother with queuing now. Yeah, I know what you're on about. Although, weirdly, one place that queuing has become more popular. So queuing has become less popular in general because people just pile onto stuff nowadays. But the place where it's kind of gone in the opposite direction is the pub when you're standing at the bar. For some reason, people stand in queues to order a drink. It's utterly bonkers, isn't it?
Covers versus originals.
Indeed, it's that part of the show where, scarily enough, I'm putting you in charge of choosing the music. You're choosing between the cover version of a song and the original version of a song, this time based on a suggestion from Hank. Yeah, you get to choose between Vicky Sue Robinson with the original version of Turn the Beat Around, it's a bit of a disco classic, or Gloria Estefan's version of Turn the Beat Around, which is a nice poppy upbeat 90s one. Both are fantastic choices, but which one plays is entirely down to you. Why not get in touch with me? Give me a call, 0115, that's Nottingham, 888 3268. You can email weenatter@bowradio.co.uk, or you can join us in the live chat. And one song that you don't have to pick is this one from the Pointer Sisters, who are jumping for my love. It's one of those songs where it's really obvious what the title is, isn't it? Pointer Sisters, Jump for My Love. So we are from Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. I'm Mark. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening. And a wee while ago I was asking about daft rules in society. And one of the key places for daft rules in society is, of course, driving. Yes, in your car. There's all sorts of weird, wonderful rules you have to learn when you're first getting your driver's licence. And Sandra Owens has been in touch saying, when I lived in New Zealand, a car turning right into the junction had right of way over a car turning left. I think this is a better way of keeping the traffic flowing. Who made the rules for the highway code? Unfortunately, the highway code is one of these things that sort of evolved over time, isn't it? They didn't just all sit there and write it all in one go. They keep adding bits to it, because I keep getting in trouble with the police for all the stuff that's changed since I learned many years ago now.
Covers versus originals.
It is indeed difficult decision time. Yes, where I am putting you in charge of the music. And you're deciding between the cover version of Turn This Beat Around by Gloria Estefan or the original version of Turn the Beat Around by Vicky Sue Robinson. Votes are coming in at the moment from the likes of Hank, Monica, Sandra and Vicky. But the decision is entirely up to you. And I do know it can be very, very tricky. Take this note from Cheryl, who says, not sure I know the song, so I'll go with the original. And Dandelion adding on top saying, I'm with you, Cheryl. I don't know it, so I will say the original as well. But the decision is entirely up to you, and you need to decide before Elvis Presley tells you what's always on his mind. This is one of these songs that's been done numerous times, but very different every time as well. Elvis Presley's version of Always on My Mind. We've also had the Pet Shop Boys edition, and if you're going a bit country as well, Willie Nelson did an even slower version of this. I might have to play it for you someday. And talking about cover versions and original versions, you have been choosing between Turn the Beat Around, whether it's Vicky Sue Robinson or what was the other one? It was Gloria Estefan. I'm working off the top of my head here. I'm going a little bit off topic here, because Talking After Midnight has been in touch to say this week might be the week with the least difference between the two versions. But I will be going for... Find out what is in just a second.
Bo Radio would like to thank all our sponsors. We couldn't be here without you.
This is Bo Radio with special thanks to our supporters, including Ollerton and Booton Town Council, Notts County Council, One Intent, Abbey Motors, Raw Creative, The Workshop Freemasons, Freemasons of Bassett Law, Solar Frame of Goldfort for our windows and door, and Sherwood Grange Care Centre as well.
Covers versus originals.
It was indeed a tough wee one. You were choosing between two different versions of Turn the Beat Around. Were you going to go for the cover by Gloria Estefan or the original by Vicky Sue Robinson? I've totted up all your votes, and it turns out your decision is pretty resounding. You're going very much in one direction with Vicky Sue Robinson's version of Turn the Beat Around. We're going for the disco classic, and after this we'll be chatting about something, well, that moment when you claim to be something you aren't. It'll all make sense when we chat about it after this. You can go see them again. They are touring again if you've got about, well, I don't know, £1 million or so in your bank account. Oasis, She's Electric, and then before that, it's chosen by you, Vicky Sue Robinson's version of Turn the Beat Around. And Vicky Fair Robertson touch saying one social rule I'd like to see the end of, because we're asking about the social rules we want to kill off. What I'd like to see the end of is having to shake hands with somebody you've met for the first time. I thought COVID was going to see it off for good, and then unfortunately it came back
With a vengeance.
But seriously, I had to shake hands with somebody the other day, and it took a moment because it's been so long, because there's a whole period in COVID where we didn't do it, and now that everyone's sort of falling back into routine, it took longer than I expected, but everyone's falling back into routine, it's starting to do it again, and it's starting to get a little bit difficult to get used to it. And talking about things you need to get used to, one of the things that's happening at the moment, and I'm not going to stray too far into the political world here, but at the moment there's a little bit of a race going on to choose the new leader of the political party that lost power in the last general election here in the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, right? Okay, so we had an election, they lost power, they're going to replace their leader, they're having a little bit of a mini election to figure out who it should be, which is fair enough. And one of the candidates is a certain Kemi Badenoch. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I never learned it. I probably should learn it if she could potentially win this race and end up being Prime Minister someday. Who knows? But she came out saying that she grew up middle class but became working class after working at McDonald's age 16. So that got me thinking, does that work for anything else in life? You know, I once owned a donkey jacket. Does that make me nervous? And, you know, I need to go work in the steel mills or something like that. Or, you know, on the other hand, I once went to a booths, which if you've never heard it before, is the proper posh northern Waitrose. Does that make me upper class now? These are all difficult questions. We need to figure out the answer on them. It's life or death stuff. Mika and relax, take it easy. And before that, we're having a little chat about just doing one little thing and then be able to claim that you've changed status in life. You know, like you wear a donkey jacket and suddenly you become a northerner, works in the steel mills and things like that. Unfortunately, that seems to have triggered a bit of conversation, asking if I will play the song by the Flying Pickets, Only You. Well, it was a difficult decision because if I do play it, it does mean that I become a Flying Picket. No, it doesn't. It just means we're playing a song that's quite catchy. It's Only You. And after this, we'll chat about something that's, well, is an admission of me just being wired up completely wrong. Find out what it's all about in just a few moments' time. Michael Bublé, It's a Beautiful Day, and before that I gave into peer pressure and played the Flying Pickets version of Only You. It's A Wee Natter on Bo Radio and Fatcham Radio 2. I'm Mark. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening, and I did say that there's something that gives away that I might not be wired up properly. Something's a bit strange with the way that I think. But there's this thing where I go driving down the road or I'm travelling through somewhere and I'll see like the name of something or I'll see a wee business or something like that. And something in my head's like, you got to make up a wee jingle. You got to make up a wee tagline or strapline or advertising thing for this business. I'm not getting paid to do it. I don't do it for a living, but it's just something in my head makes me go and do that. It's bonkers. It's weird. I'm not making up. It's genuinely what happens, right? So I was driving through Allerton, which is just down the road down here, and they've got a pub called The Plough, right? So I'm driving past there to get to the supermarket, get back every time, and as I drive past, little jingle goes in my head going, "Come and get ploughed at the Plough," which not like that. I meant it like getting trolleyed or getting drunk or something like that. Maybe that is why they don't trust me to do that sort of thing actually paid for in real life as well, because I just accidentally make up really dirty or horrible ones, wouldn't I? Do you do that as well, or is this just a me thing? Okay, hands up if I told you I was going to play a killer song on the wireless right now. You would have said Bones. Yeah, not many hands up, but still a cracking wee song, isn't it? On A Wee Natter from Bo Radio and Fatcham Radio 2. And talking about songs you don't hear too often, we'll be going up north of the border for Mission Musical Freedom. After this one from R.E.M., it's Near Wild Heaven on A Wee Natter. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening. Hope you're having a good one. There's a cracking band with quite a wide repertoire, and I don't think we could fly any of their songs, or really the ones that you know, under Mission Musical Freedom. But let's find out what we are flying this week.
Mission Musical Freedom.
It is indeed Mission Musical Freedom, where we try to sneak songs past the bosses, because there's always that classic complaint about radio stations. When you tune in, you always hear the same handful of songs, like they only got one of the... Now that's what I call music albums, and couldn't afford to buy a second one, and they just stick that on loop. And there's a reason for that, and it's to make sure that when you tune in, you only get the very best music. The problem is that when the bosses do that, not every good song manages to make it on the wireless, and we want to change that. We want to sneak these songs on the radio, so we sneak them past the bosses of Bo Radio. We sneak it past the bosses of Fatcham Radio, and because I'm doing it from a home studio now, I don't even have to physically sneak it past them, although they could always rip me off the wireless. So I do run a bit of a risk here doing this. But for this one, I'm going to go for a band that you probably know quite well from north of the border, known as Deacon Blue. Yeah, you know who I'm on about, don't you? Yeah, and they had a song from about the turn of the millennium, 2001, something like that, from the album Homesick, called Every Time You Sleep, which isn't the normal sort of Deacon Blues sound, but you can tell it's them. And I used to hear it on the radio all the time when I was growing up as a kid, because that's what was playing. Haven't heard it since, so I'm going to share it with you now. It's Deacon Blue, and every time you sleep, it's part of Mission Musical Freedom. A couple of songs where you get your little lighter out and sway from side to side. The Corgis, Everybody's Got to Learn Sometime, and Deacon Blue, Every Time You Sleep. And Cheryl been in touch saying, I've not heard the Corgis for a long time. Yeah, they don't pop up very often nowadays, do they? No, you got to join us for a wee natter. You got to come join me on a fine Sunday evening and you get to hear songs like this. And also been in touch and tipping the show, which if you're going to do that, dear listeners, it's not something we ask for, we don't make you pay to enjoy this fine radio show. But if you do feel inclined to do so, you are funding Sooty, my cat. She does appear on the video every so often. You're funding her treat habit. It's a choice. You know, she does have that habit. We do need to support her through it. But a couple of you have been tipping, including Sandra Owens, Henk Sant, and Anne L76. It is always appreciated.
The Super Shonky Sunday Quiz.
A Wee Natter with Jenny and Marc Steele on Bow Radio.
It is the top quality quiz that is so cerebral. It's got one question and so top quality and, you know, high budget. It has no prize other than you get to hear if you get the answer right or if you get it wrong. And this time, I'm going to ask you one of those sort of classic pub quiz questions. Where would you find a pollux? That's Pollex. Where would you find a pollux? I've got some ideas, but I suspect it'll be wrong. How about you? Are your ideas right or wrong? There is only one way to find out. You can give me a call. Nottingham 0115 888 3268. You can email weenatter@bowradio.co.uk, or you can get on the live chat on Twitch or Mixcloud and tell me, you know what, where would you find a pollux? I guess somebody really, really needs to know. Travis asking the question I've asked since I was a young kid.
The Super Shonky Sunday Quiz.
A Wee Natter with Jenny and Marc Steele on Bow Radio.
Where I've got you answering a tough wee question. Where would you find a pollux? Pollex. And a few of you have been taking a shot at that one, including Henk, who got both the correct answer and it feels a bit naughty to say because it was down to spelling. And he was telling us that pollux, Pollux, so it's got a U instead of an E, is the brightest star in the constellation of Gemini. That's a useful one. We might make a note of that in case we're doing another one of these quizzes. But we are looking for Pollex, where indeed Henk did get the correct answer, along with Sandra Owens, Dandelion, and Cheryl. There's still a bit of time to get your answer in as well, and we'll find out what a pollux actually is after this one from Maroon 5 that, well, I've not heard in a wee while. It's This Love. Going all the way back to their debut album, Songs About Jane, for that one. It's Maroon 5 and This Love on A Wee Natter. I'm Marc, by the way. Thanks for joining me this fine Sunday evening.
Bow Radio would like to thank all our sponsors. We couldn't be here without you.
This is Bow Radio with special thanks to our supporters, including Ollerton and Booton Town Council, Notts County Council, One Intent, Abbey Motors, Raw Creative, The Workshop Freemasons, Freemasons of Bassett Law, Solar Frame of Goldfort for our windows and door, and Sherwood Grange Care Centre as well.
The Super Shonky Sunday Quiz.
A Wee Natter with Jenny and Marc Steele on Bow Radio.
With a tough wee question where to get you had to tell me what a pollux was. Where would you find it? Pollex. And the answer to that one is a bit of anatomy. Yes, if you knew a bit about the human body, you could have got this one right. Although, I think if you just said human body, I'd have had to go, unfortunately, because you'd have seen the twist, but not the detail, because the pollux is on your hand. It is part of your thumb. Yeah, there you go. We learn something educational on this show from time to time. And in just a moment, we're going to talk about what could only be described as a great escape. Yeah, find out what that's all about after Pink. And this one from OMD, If You Leave, on A Wee Natter from Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2.
Don't leave me.
Sounding like she's chasing after a National Express at Keel Services. Pink and Please Don't Leave Me. Before that, OMD, If You Leave. And talking about leaving, there was a zoo in Telford where a capybara happened to be living and decided it didn't want to be living there anymore and made a grand dash and escape from there. Totally understandable. If I was living in Telford as well, I'd want to get away. Never mind being in a zoo. But the capybara, I believe, has been caught and brought back to its home in Telford Zoo. But it got me wondering, you know, when you hear about animals and creatures escaping from the zoo, your response is going to be different depending on what the animal is, isn't it? You know, if somebody said a pack of otters, I don't know what the word is for a group of otters, but let's say it's a pack of otters escapes from the local zoo. You're going to think fun, livable creatures. You're going to be fine with it. All right, it'll be cute if they see them. That's fine. Lions. If you say the lions have escaped, you're going to think, oh, that's going to be a problem. Until you realise that lions are just really big cats, right? So you just distract them with some yarn and it's problem solved. They're easy enough to catch. But if it's a hippo, I think if a hippo was there to escape the zoo, then I think, in all honesty, we'd probably be doomed at that point. We just have to give up, run away ourselves, disappear down the motorway towards Telford or something. Seeing as though we're about 20 miles from Sheffield, do we get to claim that this lot are a local band now? Might be a little bit cheeky. Def Leppard Armageddon. It's A Wee Natter from Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2. I'm Marc. I'll be having a cracking Sunday evening. And a moment ago, we were chatting about various zoo animals escaping and, you know, how would we deal with the different kinds of animals? And Sandra Owens has been in touch saying the elephant called Burma, I'm assuming named after the country that's no longer called Burma, but the elephant called Burma escaped from Auckland Zoo. The police arrived and said, how did you manage to lose an elephant? I suspect it's a very different answer to the question that they ask you in job interviews, how do you eat an elephant? Because the answer to that's one bite at a time, isn't it? But how do you lose an elephant? It's rather impressive, because elephants, even when they're babies, are not small things. It's a bit like, losing a truck or something like that. I'm sure people manage it, but there we go, managed to lose an elephant. Fortunately, they found her before the armed police unit did as well. Wow. And I suspect, if we're looking into why an elephant might have left, it's probably because the catering options were not great in the zoo. And talking about catering options not being great, a local council has made some weird choices about what they do when they're catering. And we'll have a chat about them after this one from Bruno Mars, When I Was Your Man, on A Wee Natter.
When I was your man.
Bruno Mars, When I Was Your Man. It's A Wee Natter on Bow Radio. I'm Marc, by the way. Thanks for joining me. And I can't believe I'm going to utter these words out loud. I feel dirty even considering the idea of saying them, but I have got a headline in front of me. I've even got a complete news story that would suggest that Nottingham City Council have gone woke. Yes, I've used the word woke. Yeah, it feels wrong. It feels dirty. But although weirdly, if you're watching me on the radio, you will see that I do have a Union Jack t-shirt. So it does kind of fit the theme. But the reason that I'm bringing this up is that the council have made a decision about food. They've said, well, when you're doing an event, whether it's a training course or a big meeting or something like that, thou shalt not have food that is not of vegan descent. So they're not allowed any sort of food when they're doing catering that is not vegan. It's all got to be vegan nowadays. I believe this is done in some sort of being green type thing because meat uses a lot more energy or whatever. But it got me thinking about when I've been to various catered events and the options that are put on. And the sort of thing that you tend to see when it's vegetarian or vegan nowadays is some sort of curry or something like that, or, some sort of vegetable roll or whatever. But the problem I have with catered things, when we're doing a meeting or doing an event or whatever, it's always weird and fancy and posh sandwiches that get put out for these things, isn't it? They've always got all sorts of grass and rabbit food and things you've never heard of before inside them. And I'm of the view that if you're going to put food on, and you do it for an event, whatever it is, if you're going to put food on, just put cheese and ham sandwiches in on the tray. Every single one of them will be gone in mere minutes. Compared to if you put all sorts of weird and wonderful stuff there, they will still be there in probably months' time. People just want nice, simple sandwiches. That's all they're after in these sort of events. Coldplay and Charlie Brown, and before that, to Pow, Shine in Your Hand. It's a wee natter where just a moment ago, I was chatting about a very woke council that was saying, no, if we are catering, we will only be doing vegan food. And as Sandra Owens points out, there seems to be more rules all the time these days. Someone in the council justifying their existence, which always makes me think about yes Prime Minister, yes Minister, or something like that when I hear these sort of things. It's a very old-fashioned reference nowadays, but it does stick in my mind. And unfortunately, that's about it. Unfortunately, all good things do have to come to an end. A Wee Natter won't really be back next week because myself and Jenny will be in Scotland, north of the border. But we won't leave you completely without a wee natter. No, I have been down the shops and I bought some brand new Maxell and TDK C120 cassettes, and we'll be popping one of those on, and there'll be a special show that will be playing instead of the live show. So tune into Bow Radio and Fatcham Town Radio 2 if you do not want to miss out on that one. Although it has just struck me, if I'm going to be popping a cassette on and doing a recording for you, somebody's got to turn that cassette over at the halfway point, haven't they? Yeah, I'll go figure out that one. But in the meantime, I'm going to leave you with U2 and the Streets, where the streets have no name. If you're after some upbeat poppy songs from the past, then join Marc tomorrow from 4 and join Paul afterwards from 7 o'clock here on Bow Radio. Fashion Town Radio's got good stuff as well. Otherwise, I'll see you next time on Mixcloud and Twitch TV. Have a good one.